Welcome, everyone.
Welcome, everyone.
Good to see you guys here. Thank you so much for showing up to spend your afternoon or maybe your morning, maybe your evening, depending on where you're tuning in from with us. I appreciate it. Says a lot about who you are that you're showing up here to dive into exploring quantum shifting in your consciousness, your chakras, to learn and expand and grow into the greatest capacity of who you are. And it's a pleasure to be here with you for that.
Yeah.
As we get started, could I ask everyone to throw in the chat where you're from and your intention, what you'd like to shift and what you'd like to create? So there's three things: where you're from, what you'd like to shift, and what you'd like to create on the other side of that shift.
Awesome.
So while you guys are throwing everything in the chat, what we're going to dive into today is a process that allowed me to change my life. It allowed Aela to change her life as well. We're going to share a bit on our stories. First, we're going to dive into what exactly this process is and what you can do with it. Awesome. I see some folks from Iowa, South Carolina, depression, wanting to be happy, connected to the Pleiades as well.
Yay.
Nice to meet you. You're here to just learn, living in Arkansas, wanting to find true self, shift into a stream of abundance.
Amazing.
Awesome. Reno, Nevada. Would like to shift where you are. New Mexico. Shifting the fear of self-doubt.
Cleveland.
Arizona.
We're in South Africa, by the way.
I'm from Missouri.
We're currently
Overseas
in South
Africa.
Yeah. Buffalo. Wonderful.
Pittsburgh. Learning manifestation. Shift toxic dark energy into peaceful flow for an easier life full of achievements. Abundance and enlightenment from San Diego. Sacramento. Awesome. Soul purpose of tongue and light without overwhelm. Awesome. New Jersey, shift into abundance. Pennsylvania. More New Jersey. You guys are awesome.
Cape
Keep
Town.
throwing it in there. Amazing.
Nice. Awesome.
Florida for peace and cash flow. Tennessee to connect easier. I'd like to assist the collective and move into potentially upcoming deeper challenges with optimism and less fear. I love it.
Love it.
You guys are going to love what we're diving into because we're going to cover a lot of these exact things in depth and provide you with some guidance to go even deeper into this should you choose. Washington State to find less worry and more peace. Swellendam, South Africa for increased intuition and aligning with soul's true nature.
Wonderful.
Amazing. If you're someone saying they can't hear us, make sure that you've clicked the join Zoom audio button in the bottom left-hand corner. And let's dive into what all this journey is about. So the title of this is The Quantum Shifting of Your Life in Business. And this is a challenge. This is a challenge from us to you to dive in deeper into every area of your life and make some real and tangible changes from the spiritual, emotional, mental, all the way to the physical, the financial, your life, your business, your relationships. And this is so that you can create a life you love, discover your soul's purpose, take command of your energy and embody your passion through a thriving business as a superconscious entrepreneur so that you can create an impact in this world. Even if you've got massive blockages or you struggle to overcome failures and traumas and everything else you've tried has failed, leaving you frustrated and stuck, thinking that you're a lost cause, because it never has to be this way again. And our goal for this mastermind is to show you how you can do exactly that by quantum shifting using your reality creation process. Throw in the chat, guys, if you are familiar with the idea of a quantum shift, right? Quantum shift, if you understand what that means and maybe its relationship to timelines or things of that nature. I would love to know a little more about where you're at. So as we dive into this, we're going to be describing a 13-week process that we've used to be able to make this change in our lives and discover that soul's purpose and help other people do it too, taking command of the energy, creating the relationships that aren't drama-filled and draining, getting into a business, right, that doesn't feel like work because it doesn't need to. It can follow your soul's purpose, navigating through those challenges life throws at us with confidence and ease, and impacting millions of lives through what you enjoy most. We want to embody your soul's mission and purpose. And doing this results in becoming what I call a superconscious creator. So as we dive in, I want you to know that if you're struggling and you're finding challenges in discovering what your path forward is, know that it never has to be this way again, because you can embody your soul's purpose to the highest level. And if you're a healer, you're a coach, or you're an energy worker, drop a 1 in the chat so I know who you are, because this process will be able to help you achieve 10 times the results you're getting with your clients. And you can start using some of the perspectives we're going to talk about in this class as soon as today in your own life and with your clients. It all applies everywhere. So a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. Please actively participate in this training in the comments, engage with the tribe that's here, answer the questions fully. Treat this training like we're sitting across from each other. And by that, I mean, don't be getting up, walking around, or scrolling your Instagram or TikTok. Be fully present, set down the phone, and let's dive in together. Have a pen and paper to take some notes on, or a document is fine. I'm old school, like the pen and paper, so we don't have the distractions that can pop up on our phone. And before we get to the good stuff, I need you to know that what we're about to dive into is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not an easy way out. This is a journey where you'll need to put in the work to change your life. It's an in-depth journey, and it can be worth it on the other end. If you're committed to putting in the work, committed to your purpose, and you say yes to the call to step up and be who you're meant to be in this life and do what you're meant to do, you'll be able to shift some things in profound ways using this process. So as we're getting started, I want to cover who this is for, because it's not for everyone. This is for individuals who are choosing to create a life that they love, discovering their soul's purpose, embodying their higher self, and becoming more focused and present in order to scale your mission and impact millions of lives. Or this might be for entrepreneurs or coaches or energy healers who want to grow a thriving business, embed conscious business practices at the core, and learn to empower themselves and their clients with mastery of energy, frequency, and vibration in a way that creates lasting impact. Or maybe you find yourself as a creative and you just want to be able to create a fulfilling life and empower yourself to navigate the challenges, creating that fulfilling relationship or healing from the trauma, breaking through the limitations, and obliterating your success ceiling. This is for you. This is also for anyone at all who chooses to simply know and understand the inner workings of their consciousness, their mind, emotions, the chakras, so that you can develop full self-mastery and embody your purpose, whatever that looks like for you. So just to recap, we're going to be going into the quantum shift, your reality creation process, and show you how over the next 13 weeks, you can create a life you love, discover your soul's purpose, take command of your energy, embody your passion with a thriving business as a super conscious entrepreneur. The process is pretty simple. It works. What we're going to show you today is the exact process that I myself have used. Aela has done this as well. And we've used it with hundreds of our clients to support them in breaking out of the hellish loops of limited thinking, blockages, anxiety, depression, failed relationships, and failed business ventures, the repeated cycle of failure that many of us get stuck in, the sabotage or the imposter syndrome. And I want you to know that if you stick with us till the end of this call, we're going to be diving into a couple of things that I think you'll be really excited to unpack. And these are why positive affirmations do not work in the long term, and something you can do instead that has a greater effect. We're also going to show you how to avoid the biggest mistake that almost every healer or coach is making, which sometimes creates a very large sabotage loop. And we're going to invite you to join in an active meditation practice in our app once a week. You'll be invited to do that. I'm also going to tell you how to get a free copy of my Super Conscious Formula workbook that's helping people like you 10x their manifestations overnight through a simple process. It's all outlined in the workbook. And in addition to that, we're going to be offering to empower you personally over the next 13 weeks to create the biggest shift and provide you with everything you need to pull it off quickly and easily. But before we get into that, you're probably wondering who we are and how we got here to do this. So I'm going to let Aela introduce herself and tell you a bit of her story.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Cool. So as many of you know, I'm Aela Lee. I'm a small town kid from a very rural part in South Africa. And as a child, I struggled with ADHD. I struggled with childhood night terrors, going into occupational therapy, and trying to fit in with the confines of societal expectations. Disassociation, or as they called it, daydreaming, was a constant challenge my whole life. And I was told that I had a learning disorder. I also experienced hearing voices and what sounded like different languages, and I was able to see things that was not known to our reality. Now I'm aware that these are actually psychic gifts, but at the time I felt like I couldn't talk to anyone about it. I was also diagnosed with a rare, untreatable seizure disorder and a heart condition, resulting in more than 150 hospital admissions over the course of 5 years and numerous physical injuries. I practically lived in ICU on high doses of anti-seizure medication to a point where I felt like a zombie. I became a paramedic through all of this as well, seeking answers to understand the internal workings of the human physiology. But it just wasn't enough. Nothing was working for me. I found myself back in ICU with tubes coming out of every part of my body. So understanding the physical for me wasn't enough while doctors kept adding medication. There was an extra component to the physical experience that was missing, and I felt like they didn't understand it. They were only focusing on the physical stuff. I experienced multiple out-of-body experiences as well, telling no one about it because I would be marked as crazy or insane, or as they called it, it was hallucinations or delusions because of my erratic brainwave scans. So I began seeking answers for myself, looking beyond the body as the traditional medicine and physical means I was experiencing. Just it felt like it failed me to cure me or fix me, and it felt like it was all wrong. So I began studying different modalities like NLP, mentalism, hypnotherapy, and various self-help books. I dove into everything that I could get my hands on. I really felt like I was stuck in a body that was completely broken. So I began exploring more and more in depth with my OBEs that I was having, out of body experience, astral projection as well. And this is where everything began to shift through curiosity instead of seeing myself or my body as a cage. Through one of my OBEs, while I was having my very, very last seizure, I learned the first step of what we call quantum shift with your reality creation process today. I experienced a complete shift to my reality coming back from that experience, and I never had a seizure again. So this all began as an in-depth journey of exploration to understand how I actually made the shift, because I wanted to share with others that they can do it too. In this experience, there was much physical confusion because everything was changing so quickly, and suddenly I was in a body that was whole and healthy. Everything shifted for me with a single choice. I explored multiple quantum modalities and working with light language, where I found myself connecting with a being that introduced itself as a Pleiadian. I believe I called it a Palladian at that time because I've never heard the word before. I remember connecting to this being multiple times before in various stages of my life, even as a child, but I could only understand it entirely now as I expanded into receiving through exploration of my quantum field. Here I began to receive the first steps into the quantum shift exploration method to assist others in being able to do this for themselves as well, through a process that is gentle and assists you to understand how you can shift from point A to point B in your quantum field. I now have the honor to share this with people across the entire world. And this is quite an experience moving into this. I'd shifted instantaneously, but I didn't understand how it worked yet. I had to take the next steps of learning how to deeply know the process through exploring it over the coming years. I began to write down what I learned as a technique, and I developed the QSE method, or what we call the quantum shift exploration method, using it with clients in real time and on myself to create ongoing shifts. As I focused on the love I had for this and for sharing this with others and creating it into a technique that everyone can use and experience for themselves, incredible synchronicities began to fall into place. The universe literally orchestrated the expansion of an entire team, giving us the opportunity to present the techniques and support others in mastering it for themselves as well, allowing us to share it with people from every continent and with you today as well. Just as Aaron was preparing to present the full reality creation process online, I was also preparing to share the quantum shift exploration method. It was quite interesting, the whole story.
This is a very bit of a funny story, because at the stage when I was just turning this into an online journey, I'd been doing my work with the reality creation process, which I'll tell you guys more about in a moment, at in-person events and doing in-person work. And Isla's on the other side of the planet. We just met in a couple of months prior to that. And she decided to come and participate in the very first reality creation process journey that I did via the internet instead of in person. And that same week, she was getting ready to take the quantum shift exploration method and make it available online as well. So I did a quantum shift journey with her. And what's really interesting was that journey I did with her created a shift in me that gave me the final pieces of the reality creation process that I needed to do the class that I was doing online that weekend. So it's very beautiful how these two things came together at the time that they did.
It's almost like these two methods work together as two pieces of what we could call a singular process for creating rapid shifts at every level of mind, body, and spirit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This process is a journey that allows you to rapidly master your energy and create a quantum shift in your internal reality creation process, getting to the core of every obstacle from physical to spiritual. So just to emphasize this, my reality creation process looks like the story I just shared and what I experienced for myself, within myself. And yours will be experienced in the way it is meant for you, based on what you choose to create for yourself. And this is what's so beautiful about this entire process. It is not a one size fits all. It is an experience that you discover through the techniques and tools that we use, and how this fits within your perception.
And that's really key, because it's about what's inside of you and being able to bring forward. So I always like to say your reality creation process, it is a process that's happening within your consciousness. It's the process by which your unique experience of reality and your identity is generated. And so there is no such thing as a one size fits all, because human beings are all unique, but we can use different tools and techniques to unpack that for ourselves so we can get more clarity on it. So I want to share a little bit about my story and how I fit into all of this. It's from a small town in the United States, in Missouri. I grew up in the lowest income area of the state in a toxic, dysfunctional family. I was battling suicide throughout a significant portion of my life as a result of the psychological manipulation, isolation, toxicity, and abuse I experienced in my childhood and teenage years. My family did not come from money. My family had no financial literacy. And I started out getting paid minimum wage using nothing but the skills I acquired through Google and YouTube to help support my family as a teenager. Some of the things that transpired over the course of my life, in my early life, was I scaled a tech business in Kansas City from 100K to 2.2 million in less than 18 months at the age of 21. But I would go through this sabotage cycle. So in spite of my success, I would make money only to then lose it. I found myself running away from anything that felt like my calling and a purpose. I had really unhealthy emotional blockages that were created in my childhood and adolescence, and these were destroying my relationships and my career. It would send me through this build up and crash down cycle. I was closed off mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And I'd honestly describe myself as an individual that had very little creativity, kind of like a mindless bot or a cog in the machine, just chasing, the societal definition of success. I was terrified of social situations, had terrible anxiety. I battled imposter syndrome. I had an extreme fear of failure and humiliation. I felt not good enough and not smart enough. I was unconfident, had no vision. And I really thought, who am I to be or do anything? Guys, drop the word sabotage or imposter in the chat if you resonate with this cycle and you know what it feels like to be in a spot where you feel stuck in a cycle where you move 2 steps forward and 2 steps back. For me, after this happened several times, I would create success, I would lose it. I would then create success in another way. I thought spiritual awakening was going to save me and solve my problems. It felt like the end of the line. If it's game over, I gave up. Going through a massive spiritual awakening, learning about energy, frequency, and vibration, learning about meditation, learning about all the different things and all these different tools. And I thought certainly some of these things were going to fix me. I tried traditional therapies. I tried traditional medicines. I tried non-traditional stuff. I tried all the woo-woo stuff, the quantum stuff. Eventually, the cycle would repeat and I'd be back to where I started in life and I would be back to a stuck spot. At one of the rock bottom points, probably the third one, battling with suicide all over again after I thought I'd beat it twice already. Everything shifted for me when I discovered what we've been talking about, which is what I call the reality creation process. And this was discovered through contact with my higher self and the Pleiadians. The Pleiadians shared and unfolded for me a blueprint that they referred to as the reality creation process, or the process for the creation of worlds, both individual and collective. And it's a blueprint for how consciousness creates the experience of our reality from the perspective of more expanded dimensions of energy. I began using that process in my life. And fast forwarding, now I've taken hundreds of students through this process, but it wasn't easy. I had to dig really deep and apply this process to myself. I had to be willing to see things I didn't want to see about myself. The first principle of being awake, we talk about being awakened, right, is to know thyself, to know yourself. And I had to start from a place of brokenness, limitation, lack, sabotage, feeling like an imposter. I had no time, I had no money, and I was starting over from zero again because my depression had sabotaged my second attempt to start my own business. The process I'm about to show you actually made it free. I was able to rebuild my business, cut out the toxic people, create a life of freedom. And after spending a couple of years traveling the world when I could, seeking out people that could maybe fix me, or a shaman or a healer that could help me solve this problem, I began traveling the world from a very different place, a place of curiosity. And Aela's going to talk about some curiosity facts later on. But I began traveling from a place of curiosity instead of desperation. I was stuck. But with the process that had been shared with me, I knew there was something more, and I knew I had a recipe to get there. So I went all in on knowing myself and creating with the energy, using my reality creation process and my chakra system. It paid off in every sense of the word, and it's brought me all the way here. And here we are. Things changed very quickly for me when I leaned into my inner calling as a conscious entrepreneur. I was running a tech business at the time. It blew up in a very good way. I started exchanging value instead of time for money, was able to create freedom. I was able to develop in my spare time, since my business started doing better, I was able to develop the reality creation process into something that I can share with others. I began sharing this process at events and in-person circles around the continent, founded the planetary or the Collective Planetary Impact Network, which is a collective of people who have a vision to create an impact at a planetary level. I was able to support hundreds of students to create this shift through themselves. And this all happened because of one thing. I chose to listen to my inner impulse more than my fear. I want you to take that away. Listening to your inner impulse more than your fear. And we're confident that you can utilize this process for yourself and your clients as well. But before I get into it, I'm going to assume a couple of things. If you're still here on this call with us, I'm going to assume that you're someone who has a big vision for creating impact in the world, but you feel stuck, you lack the clarity on your next steps, and you've been repeating some cycles, but you're ready to shift all of that right now. Or maybe you're an individual who's choosing to create the life you love. You really want to get the clarity and discover your soul's purpose, embody your higher self, and maybe impact millions of lives along the way. Or you're an entrepreneur, a coach, or an energy healer, and you're choosing to grow a thriving business with conscious business practices, empower yourself and empower your clients, maybe use energy, frequency, and vibration, and do this in a way that creates lasting impact. Drop a number 1 in the chat if this resonates with who you are. You might also be someone who's simply choosing to empower yourself, create fulfilling relationships, heal the trauma, break the limitations, move past all the stuff that's kept you stuck, and obliterate your success ceiling. Or lastly, maybe you're an action taker and you simply want to know the inner workings of yourself, to know yourself fully, your consciousness, your mind, your emotions, your chakras, and arrive at a place where you feel like you have mastered yourself and you're embodying your purpose. So just to check, I'm right. If you're still here, I see a bunch of 1s in the chat. Awesome. So here's how we're going to do it. By working with a 13-week process, we're able to work with our clients and walk them through a journey from feeling stuck and frustrated, boxed in by the repeating cycles of failure and dis-ease, physical, mental, and emotional, to a place of feeling free, creative, abundant, and full of purpose, and create impact in the planet through their mission. If I can shift from where I was to where I am now, and Aela can shift from where she was to where she is now, and the hundreds of other people I've seen do this as well through this process, I know that you can do it too, and so can your clients. We're going to cover the key perspective shifts that you could take and begin implementing against any challenge in your life moving forward. How we do this hits on 4 main things. The first one of these is mastery of the systems of perception in your reality creation process. I'm going to break that down in detail in a few moments. The second piece is to understand how to create an impactful quantum shift. And Aela is going to unpack this for you in detail. The third step is activation of what I call the super conscious blueprint in each of your 9 chakras. And yes, I said 9, not 7. I'll unpack that as well. And lastly, it's about integration, integrating the resistance in the emotions and the capacity to expand and explore your quantum field. So let's start at the beginning, the systems of perception in your reality creation process. When you have systems of perception that are misaligned, this will leave you manifesting things you don't want on accident constantly, fighting with hidden sabotage patterns, unable to control the negative thoughts and emotions that rise, battling nearly everything that's not working for you. So grab a pen and paper, because we're going to unpack the 4 principles of your systems of perception. Principle number 1 that I would like to share with you is that you can only experience the reality which fits within and through your perceptions. I'd like to invite you all to a little experiment. Let's take a deep breath together. Maybe you place your hands on your heart, take a deep breath together and close your eyes. Breathe in, breathe out. And while you're focused on the breath, breathing in and breathing out, notice that you can hear me reminding you to breathe in and breathe out. And you can feel yourself breathing in and breathing out. But your eyes are closed, so you can no longer see me on the Zoom screen. Does that mean I'm not on the Zoom screen? No, we're definitely on the Zoom screen. But you're not perceiving that. You're not experiencing visual-based reality. You're only experiencing the audio, the feeling of your body. But now, if you open the perceptors of your eyes, so go ahead and open your eyes as you take another breath. Now we're back, and you're experiencing visual-based reality. This is very simple, and it's very fundamental, but we miss it. But it's foundational to everything we experience. The only reality you will ever experience is the one that fits within your perceptions. And if you don't have the ability to perceive it, you cannot experience it. Take any person that's blind or deaf or has nerve damage and can't feel with their feet or their fingers. Just the same way, we often find ourselves limited in our emotional, mental, spiritual, physical, business, life in general, all of life. The experiences that come to us have to be able to fit within and through our perceptions. And if they cannot, and if you can't perceive the version of yourself that has that experience, you'll miss this entirely. So the principle number one of the systems of your perception is that you can only experience the reality which fits within and through your perceptions. I hope you've got that written down. Remember this, apply it everywhere. The second principle is that if you would like to experience something new, like going from eyes closed, no visual reality, to always eyes open, experiencing the visual reality, you must shift your perceptions in order to shift the potential reality you can experience. That's principle number two. You must shift your perceptions to shift the potential reality you can experience. Just like we shifted the perception of eyes from closed to open a moment ago. What about the perception of health from unhealthy to healthy? What about the perception of wealth from broke to wealthy? It is nothing more than the perceptions of yourself, what you think is possible for you, and the perceptions of the world around you and what you think the opportunities are. We're going to get into exactly why this gets in the way sometimes, and it seems like we do not have the opportunities we'd like to see. Principle number three, you will only have access to the potential reality that is set by the trajectory of what I call your angle of perception. So if you think of your angle and trajectory of your perception based on like where you're looking, right? You see what's in front of you. That's what you have access to visually. Much the same way, we have perceptions of how life has been and how life might be. And our entire world, what we have access to, is limited by that potential set of perceptions. And principle number four is you will only receive the opportunities that are within your degree of perception. Your degree of perception is like how wide your field of vision is. I'll unpack this more in a moment. So the reality creation process at its foundation is made up of these four principles. There is an infinite quantum field. Every possibility of energy exists. Within that quantum field, you are a consciousness that has a perception. There are millions of potential realities every moment. Through your perceptions, if you can imagine that your awareness and your perception is like a flashlight, and wherever the flashlight points, that's what you see. If you're in a dark room and you turn on a flashlight, you point it a certain way, that's what you see. And just like a flashlight, it has a knob at the end, and you can make that flashlight wider or narrower, right? If you widen the beam of that flashlight, this is like widening your degree of perception, expanding it larger. And if you narrow it down, you're focused on something. But you can only have the experience that fits within that flashlight beam. And the light would be your awareness. And that flashlight beam focus would be your degree of perception. And the angle of perception, that's where you're pointing the flashlight, to the right, to the left, in front of you, maybe behind you. Every moment of your reality, every moment of your life, you're experiencing a singular arrangement of energy. There is infinite energy in this universe. Right now is one arrangement of energy, but right now is another arrangement of energy. And the things that have changed for us is largely my tone of voice, the position of my hands. A couple of you have moved your head about in our individual close reality that we're perceiving. But in the larger reality around us, I hear my cat walking up the stairs. He's moving. So his energy is now in a different arrangement. There are people driving on the freeway. There's planets moving around our planet and everything's moving. There's wind blowing, animals moving, cars driving on the freeway. The entire arrangement of energy of this entire universe is in a completely different arrangement by the time I finish this sentence and we arrive at a new now. It's an entirely different arrangement of energy. There are, however, similarities between the first one and this one. In our shared experience right now, one of the core similarities is that we're all collectively still on a Zoom call and you're here listening to me talk. You could change this at any time. Thank you for staying here and being part of this, because this is going to get really interesting. What I'm referring to as an arrangement of energy is what we would typically call a moment in time. Every single moment, your angle and degree of perception select from the quantum infinite field one possible arrangement of energy, and it moves into your active experience, the now moment. And then you grab another and another and another. And these come down like a funnel into your active experience, one after the other. The interesting thing is, once we have a negative experience, our perceptions, that funnel, that flashlight gets fixated on a negative possibility. And every moment thereafter, we bring in more similar experiences and manifest cycles. For me, I was in a place where I would almost reach success, and then I would lose it. And this arrived in my reality because at one point in my life, there was something I wanted, I almost achieved it, and something took it away from me. I had that experience once. That does not mean it has to happen again, but because my perceptions adopted that as a default focus, that story played out on repeat all the way from my childhood well into my adult life. For many people, this story plays out on repeat from birth to death. We're here on this call to create an adjustment so that you can shift out of that cycle, whatever that cycle is for you, into something new. For Aela, that was an untreatable condition that doctors didn't know how to resolve. She was able to shift that perception with a choice. We're going to talk more about choices in a minute. So most people think that reprogramming your mind is pretty hard, when in reality, with the right tools, you can shift your reality creation process, change your systems of perceptions into what you choose easily, in turn, shifting your thoughts and your emotions quickly. You can dial in and laser focus your perceptions on what you choose, because your perceptions control the potential thoughts, the potential emotions, and the opportunities you can experience. Your thoughts and emotions are simply indicators of how your systems of perceptions are aligned. And shifting all of that with this 13-week process is pretty easy because it uses a built-in function of your existence. Now, you still have to do the work. You still have to see yourself. But it uses something that's built into your existence that most of the time we're not paying attention to. And I'm going to let Aela talk to you about how we can take this even farther with quantum shifting.
Well, thank you. So why do most people struggle to create a quantum shift? Let's unpack that a little bit. They have an unempowered or it's out of my control perspective. Going back to the past, creating with the programming of the past. Nothing worked before, so why would it work now? Sticking to the default underlining programming, which automatically creates the outcome of the undesired experience. So more reasons about this. The other thing that we do very often and that you see in various concepts and videos and posts and things online as well is we create invalidation and dismissal of the experience that we are choosing to shift for ourselves. We want to get rid of it. We want to release it. We want to remove that bad, broken experience. And this creates an inability or unwillingness to fully allow the idea of, but what if it can be different? And the experience that we are focused to shift. So clinging to the need to fix or heal or do anything we choose to do from the perspective of the impossibility to do so, keeping them in this unempowered state, keeping us in this unempowered state, out of my control perspective. So how do we set ourselves up for an impactful quantum shift, creating what you choose and what we choose for ourselves? The first step to that is seeing yourself as empowered to create a shift. to create and shift for yourself as well. Receiving the message in the negative experience, like what is it communicating? And then stepping into curiosity to expand, allowing yourself to receive from the past negative and the future positive, and seeing it as equal. Both give equally, and you choose what you receive. Seeing the neutrality in all things and allowing all parts of self from all experiences to come into the shift that you choose rather than getting rid of. So perceiving all experiences as an opportunity to create, meaning you allow even the negative experience and the part of self to be whole and not broken, loving it for bringing you to a place to discover and explore what you can create instead. So essentially, the negative experience can now act as a blank canvas for what you choose to create. So if there is no canvas to paint on, do you guys feel like there would even be a picture to paint for ourselves? Can you see that all experiences, positive or negative, are valid? If we didn't have all polarities of experience, would we ever be able to create anything at all? This is where you can step into your superconscious self that includes all possibilities within you. Let's talk about how this all relates to our chakras as well as the canvas and blueprint for unifying all polarities into the creation of a life you choose and love.
Absolutely. I just saw someone put in the chat, there's no one, only you. Absolutely correct. So I want to talk about the chakra system. Most of you are probably familiar with it. You've heard about the 7 chakras. But I want to talk about how distortions become imprinted into the chakra system through the negative experiences that happen in our lives, the traumatic events, the education, media, social influence, parents, caregivers, etc. It all leaves imprints in our chakra system. These negative impressions and distortions distort the way your energy pours out into the world. If you look at your chakra system, energy flows up it and flows through each chakra into the world around you. If that energy is flowing out in a distorted way, it will limit the potential experiences and opportunities. It'll create loops of negative manifestations by empowering negative events in the life around you. It'll keep you, and if you're working with clients to work on their chakras, it'll keep your clients stuck in what I call the big loop. We're going to unpack that more in a moment. It can prevent the healing of trauma and disease. It can trap density in your body, your mind, and your emotions. Now, most of us have heard of the 7 chakra system, so we would think that we need to align the 7 chakras. But in reality, what I have discovered is that a chakra alignment in the 7 chakras is only the first step. It allows the 7 chakra system to flow with increased levels of energy, and this is helpful, but it's incomplete. And this leaves most people stuck with wide open chakras after they do this work, but without mastery of how to actually use their chakras. And there is stuff you can use your chakras for. This can often leave people as well stuck in a place without enough energy to fill the chakra and prevent it from reverting back to the old alignment. So after one alignment, the chakra becomes depleted of energy again and reverts back to how it was before, and all of the problems come back. When we can activate and integrate the full 9 or more chakra blueprint in the chakra system, it allows the chakra system to correct the distortions and flow the original energy of who and what you are, what I call your soul blueprint. If we can provide enough volume of energy through the chakra system and sustain it, we can support the chakra in keeping and maintaining the new structure so that it doesn't revert back to the old patterns. This can help you power up your soul's mission and purpose as the creative force in your life. It can create a massive influence on your internal and external experience of reality. Now, most individuals and healers who are working with the chakras don't see massive, rapid shifts in their lives or their clients' lives because something isn't operating correctly at the core of the chakras. Chakra means wheel of energy. I want you to imagine that you're in your car. And if you turn the steering wheel of your car where you want it to go, and the car doesn't immediately go there, You would instantly know that something was off and you'd get your car to the mechanic. And just the same way, if you or your clients are working with your chakras and you're not immediately seeing some results going in the direction where you want to go, then something isn't as it should be in the chakras. What I've discovered works as an excellent solution is activation and integration of the full 9-chakra system. When we work with the 9-chakra system, we can bypass all of the distortions that are found in the 7-chakra system with the superconscious self or your higher self or your source self. I don't like to call it your higher self because that sets it apart from you. And this is about embodying and unifying all parts of you, integration. We're going to talk more about that in a few minutes. Your soul purpose, your blueprints, it's preserved in the blueprints of your consciousness. This has been awaiting activation and integration. What I call the blueprints are located in the Earth Star chakra, which vibrates in connection with the earth. Now, most people are familiar with the 7-chakra system, starts at the root, goes to the crown. But there's 2 more really key chakras, one below the Earth Star and one above the Soul Star. When we integrate the original blueprints from these chakras, it shifts the entire flow of the life force energy within you, and you can uncover your most authentic self. And we do this through something I call the super conscious method, which bypasses the distortions and allows you to send instructions to your source self, the aspect of your consciousness that has no interference. The Earth Star chakra vibrates at 68.05 hertz in connection with the earth. Why I share this with you is because no one's talking about it. People talk about the 7-chakra system. You see it everywhere. You see it on bumper stickers. You see it on t-shirts. It's all over the place. But why are the other 2 left out? The reason for this is twofold. The first part is the energy that comes from these chakras is super intense. So in some of the ancient mystery schools, you had to work with the 7 chakra and become a master of those before they would tell you about the others. The second reason is because when you connect to the Earth Star and the Soul Star chakra, your whole system powers up and returns to its default blueprints. And that's something we can't have too many people doing on this planet, right? I disagree. I think everybody should do it, which is why I'm sharing it with you. The 7-chakra system. Each chakra resonates with a specific color of the rainbow. Sacral's orange, solar's yellow, etc. You live and we experience visual-based reality, this physical reality, in what we might call the 7 dimensions of light, 7 colors. Every negative experience, every traumatic experience, every negative program, every lie that's ever been told to you that says you're not worthy or you're not good enough or you don't deserve, every negative messaging you've ever experienced came through an experience that you were experiencing in the 7 dimensions of light, your visual-based reality. It comes through the experience of those 7 dimensions. And those distortions, those negative programs lodge in the 7-chakra system, distorting each of those chakras, getting the energy flowing incorrectly, like I spoke about earlier. When we connect to the Earth Star chakra, we're able to unpack it up the chakra system and get to the original blueprints of each chakra, returning them to the original structure. And in that new structure, the energy is able to flow differently. The results of this is it resolves the distortions, your energy flows correctly, and this creates new opportunities and synchronization of mind, body, and spirit internally and externally in your life. It rapidly increases the rate of positive potential experiences, which can manifest through your perceptions within your reality creation process. So when we do the superconscious method, it's twofold. The first part is to realign the systems of perception with the opportunity you choose. And we use quantum shifting to help you do that. The second part is to restructure the chakras back to their original blueprint to power those new opportunities that come in through your perceptions in your reality creation process. The third part is that this will empower you with the energy to sustain long-term resolution, forming new patterns that last a lifetime. If you think of the 7-chakra system as the core energy structure, and the Earth Star and Soul Star above and below are like the positive and negative terminals on the battery. The 7 chakra system will often be powerless if we aren't connected to the earth star and the soul star. There's different names for these higher and lower chakras. If you look them up, you're going to see different cultures and different schools of thought label them differently, and that's okay. But I like to look at it this way. Your earth star chakra is the blueprints of who you are, awaiting integration. When we bring that all the way up the chakra system, all the way through the crown, into the soul star is the illuminated, empowered reflection of who and what you truly are. When that power is flowing fully, the chakras are filled and don't collapse on themselves, allowing you to develop new habits in life a lot easier. You begin to shift the challenges, the negative habits. It gets much easier to create what you choose in each and every moment.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about integrating resistance with quantum shift exploration. Bringing in the neutral perspective, or bringing in the neutral, or what we often refer to as the 0-point source perspective of all polarities, creates the energy and motion for any experience to become malleable and fluid rather than rigid and unchangeable. Many people get stuck on the visualization. Visualization is actually not the starting point of creation. It is the emotion, the feeling you choose creates the shift. Then comes the visualization of what it may possibly look like, followed by the manifestation. If we can set down the need to know what it looks like, focusing instead of the emotion of what it feels like, the results can become manifested in ways beyond our current perceptions, that is often jaded by the feeling of brokenness and suffering and not being good enough. So by sitting in the energy of curiosity, allowance, and the chosen emotion from the 0-point perspective, where everything is valid, we can easily allow a new experience to emerge in our lives that represents wholeness, such as a healthy body, or loving relationships, and a fulfilling business or career, or any other whole experience that you choose. So let's talk a little bit about meditation. Most people think meditation doesn't work for them because they think the goal of meditation is to quiet the mind and balance the emotions. But in reality, meditation is in every moment. It's about gaining the awareness of what you can do with your mind and your emotions, or the energy and motion, when you're being in stillness or in every moment. We call it active meditation. 1 week of active meditation practice will change everything you thought you knew about meditation, and also for yourself and for your clients. 13 weeks will revolutionize your life. Mastery of active meditation, along with self-facilitated integration, is necessary for the full expansion of the chakra blueprints to complete the soul remembrance and also the whole embodiment process.
I want to comment on someone in the chat who's asking where to find the 9-chakra system. If I may, find it within yourself. Now, I can tell you a lot of things about it, but there's something very important about the Earth Star chakra, and I want you to take this home with you. The Earth Star chakra is your blueprints. It's the place where your consciousness stores everything that can't fit in the body when you're born or in the early years of life. Anything that the programs that are coming in your early life begins to distort, your body stashes it in your Earth Star chakra to keep it safe from distortion. What's in there is extremely important. If you go out on the internet, there's all kinds of information that'll tell you all kinds of things about what these different chakras are. What I have personally found is that when I sat down looking for the information outside and simply use a couple of simple tools to go inside the chakra myself, I get the real information and how it applies to me. This is extremely important with the Earth Star chakra, because if you accept into your Earth Star chakra information about what's there from an outside source, you can distort what's there, which is exactly why the Earth Star exists, is to prevent distortions from getting into there. So I encourage you, use a couple of tools, go inside your Earth Star chakra, and bring forward that energy yourself and discover what is there. These are some things that we work with. We'll point you to a couple of tools that you can begin to guide yourself into the experience of accessing your Earth Star chakra and discovering what's there for yourself, and then taking it deeper on your own. So many people struggle with resistance and self-sabotage because during the shift from the past reality that's negative or the current reality that's negative into the chosen future reality you'd like to create for yourself, we often see that these two realities are not equal. This makes it an uphill battle, a lifelong struggle for many, because the part of you in the current and past reality does not know if it can actually exist in the new reality you're choosing and manifesting. So it resists the change, forcing you to stay in the current reality to ensure that part of yourself's existence by sending you a negative thought or a negative emotion. These parts of self can operate in your subconscious. They can manage your systems of perception, and this can often lead to manifestation of negative events. When you don't know this, it's easy to become stuck thinking something's wrong with me, feeling like you're broken and need to fix or heal something in your life. This results in resistance and sabotage winning, you losing, you stop moving forward, you start searching for a way to fix yourself instead. The cycle starts over in a never-ending loop. If this sounds familiar, drop the word loop in the chat. This is what I call the big loop trap. And trap number one of the big loop is that most people think they need to fix or they need to heal. Most healers think they need to fix or they need to heal. But in reality, this only makes things worse. Because when your perceptions are aligned to the idea that you are broken, need to be fixed, or need healing, whether this is directly stated or implied, you will remain stuck in a world where you are broken, because the only reality you can experience is, once again, the one that fits within your perceptions. And if it's aligned this way, you will remain stuck within the perceptions of a broken world and a broken self. And by the way, this applies at the micro scale of your personal life and the macro scale of our planet. And when one shifts, many shift. There's a bunch of you here on this call today, so we're making some impact all together. And this is the first trap of the big loop everyone gets stuck in. When you stick with us to the end, and I'm going to share the second trap of the big loop that everyone gets stuck in. But for now, I need you to take one thing home with you. You're not broken. Every single part of you is a part of you that is always in service to you. By default, you are a whole and perfect manifesting miracle. The only question is, what are you manifesting? You're constantly manifesting your entire reality every moment, because you're a whole and perfect manifesting machine. But what are you manifesting? And if you're manifesting a world where everyone feels like you're broken, everyone acts like you're broken, that's what you're manifesting. You create the whole thing through your perceptions. Now, the interesting bit is when you were a child, your perceptions got put a certain way. And that was beyond your control because you were a child. But now that you know this, we can begin the process of putting those perceptions back into the foundation of who and what you really are. Constantly creating every moment as the superconscious you. Manifesting a life that is healthy and vital, a life that you love instead, because this is your built-in specialty. So my question is, why aren't you doing it right now? Drop it in the chat and let me know. Why aren't you doing it right now? What is in the way? Or what do you think is in the way? I see a bunch of people saying financial issues. Money can never be an issue that's in the way. I'll prove it. How come there's lots of people who had nothing and now they have a lot of things? They managed to shift. I would say your action and your perception about money is what's in the way. For example, Candace, There's 5 principles of currency. Currency, it's a current. It flows to the sea. Banks direct the flow of currency. Look at a river. A river has banks. Banks is directing the flow of the current in the river. All rivers flow to the sea. Financial system's based in this. The words give it away. Currency, current to sea. Your mind, your body, your emotions are all directing your energy, the flow of your current. Money is simply a flow of a current. That's why they call it cash flow. It's a flow of a current, and it directly flows in correlation to the flow of emotions, mind, thoughts, feelings, actions, your physical choices. Everything is a current. Everything is currency. Money is just one representation of currency. If we put all 5 dimensions of currency into a current focus, one of the 5 dimensions of currency is tangible money. If we put all 5 of them focused on what we choose to create, we get some big results. I see someone says balance. Someone says, I don't know. That's a great place to start. Someone says they think it's trauma to let go of still. You don't understand the process. That's a great place to start, because now you can begin learning. So what I'd like you to now ask yourself, because I've seen hundreds of people, every single one being in a place that said some kind of thing just like what you just said. And I'm sure you've heard stories like it too. People been in your shoes, but they got different results. What did they know that you don't know? What did they do that you didn't do? The antidote to anxiety is action. Everything is and can be overcame, integrated, shifted, and you can create a different outcome with a different action, a different perspective, and a different flow of your energy. You have 2 things that matter, your energy and your time. What are you doing with it every day? So I'd like you to ask yourself a really big question and go ahead and throw all the additional reasons you think are reasons why you're not doing it right now, reasons, things that are in the way. And I want you to make a commitment to yourself today that today will be the last day you make excuses. Because everything I just saw in the chat is simply an excuse. And I'll admit it's an excuse I used to make. That's how I know it's an excuse. I wouldn't call you out that way if I didn't know it, because I've done it myself. But somebody once told me, bro, you got to quit making excuses for your shit life. If you want something different, change it, take a different action, learn something different. And that's what I can be really proud of you for, because you showed up to this class to take that step. So lovingly and gently make a commitment to yourself for no more excuses. It's the 21st century. Everything can change, and everyone has access to the resources to do so. There's only 2 things that matter: your time, your energy, what you do with those things. And if you don't know what to do with those things, we have the internet. You have the ability to learn. And then all you have to do is take the actions. But if you're still sitting there and nothing's changed in your life, and it's been a year, you haven't done the actions. And I don't care where you're starting from, how low on the scale you think you are, because I've been there. And a year later, I built a 6-figure business when I started with $100 in my pocket and inability to pay my rent. I was moving from Kansas City. I quit my job, had $100 in my pocket, moved back to another area, I started a business, and a year later, we were doing 6 figures. It's possible. You can pull it off. The only question is, what do you need to know? Where do you need to put your energy? And then you need to take the action and the next step. So here's just a few ways that we use this process every day. Once mastered, the superconscious integration process, if you implement it in your reality creation process, you'll discover that it can be implemented everywhere. For example, in addition to restructuring the chakras and reprogramming the mind, if you're starting a new business venture, you can use this process to integrate support within yourself for the new role you need to take on, allowing you to quickly and easily embody a new version of yourself so that you can become that version of yourself that is needed for that success in that new venture or business. Maybe you're facing challenges in your relationship, and it can definitely be used to integrate deeper patterns of love and connection and peace in yourself and with your partner and in your relationships and your friendships and all the ways that you connect with other people. If you're stuck in a place in a trauma response loop or a trigger and you got overwhelming depression and things popping up all over the place, it can be used to integrate new structures in the mind and in the emotions that focus on peace, clarity, focus, empowerment, and aligned action. If you struggle with procrastination or imposter syndrome, it can be used to shift and integrate that. And the interesting thing about like imposter syndrome, for example, is you're going to have imposter syndrome every time you start something new because you've never done it before. So having a tool that allows you to embody the new version of yourself that's confident in the new role you're taking, that's worth everything. It was worth everything to me. And this is what enabled me to do something like what I just described. So our goal for this journey with you today was to dive into quantum shifting with your reality creation process and show you how you can do this over the next 13 weeks so that you can create a life you love, discover your soul's purpose, take command of your energy, embody your passion through a thriving business as a superconscious entrepreneur. Most of our students who work with us see massive results in the first week. And with the in-depth guidance of my team, Aela and myself, our QSC and RCP facilitators, it takes you 7 days to build a portal to a life you love and create your first profound shift. Then it takes 13 weeks to move through the chakras. And by the way, we do 1 chakra per week. You don't want to move through all the chakras and integrate the blueprints faster than that. You overwhelm yourself. You also don't really want to do it slower than that, or you stall out and stagnate in a particular chakra. And when you're working with the blueprints, it's a big change in the energy. As you work through it in 13 weeks, you'll develop mastery and embody a life you love. And it takes 4 seasons because you can repeat this process. 13 weeks makes 1 season. We have 4 of them in a year. If you sync with nature and you do this 4 times a year, like I do personally, you'll revolutionize your identity and you'll become unrecognizable just in 12 months. But it only takes 1 choice to be whole and remember who you are. So throw in the chat, everybody. I choose to be whole and remember who I am. I choose to be whole and remember who I am. This is the choice that Aela made when she shifted an incurable disorder. This is the choice I made when I shifted out of depression and my life made a massive comeback. Because we don't need to fix, because you're not broken. So here's what we covered so far. We covered mastering the systems of perception in your reality creation process. And the takeaway notes I want you to make sure you take away from this is that you can only experience the reality that fits within your perceptions. Make sure you've got that written down. You meditate on it every day. What are my perceptions aligned with? The second thing we covered is creating an impactful shift. And the takeaway notes here is to embrace the curiosity to expand. Allow yourself to receive from the past negative and the future positive as both equal. Giving yourself the opportunity to receive from both equally and to choose what you receive and to choose wisely by aligning your perceptions on what you choose to create. The third thing we covered is activation of the superconscious blueprint in the 9 chakra system. The takeaway here is that you can integrate the blueprints from your Earth Star chakra, resolve the distortions, allow your energy to flow out correctly, manifest positive potentials in your perceptions, empower yourself with the energy to sustain long-term resolution while you shift the challenges and create what you choose with ease and speed. The fourth thing we covered is integrating the resistance, to sit in the energy of curiosity, allowance, and the chosen emotion from the 0-point perspective, remembering everything is valid. And that from that place, we can easily allow a new experience to emerge from your original blueprint using the quantum shift and reality creation process, superconscious methods, if you choose. Where are you in all of this? I want you to take an honest look and ask yourself, am I ready to make this kind of shift in my life right now? Throw the word ready in the chat if that's you. Because at this point, you have 2 options. The first option is you can treat this class just like every other class. You can nod your head in agreement with me. You can get excited. You can throw things in the chat. You can enjoy the dopamine because we're all in here. It's energized. We're learning cool stuff. The dopamine's rushing. We get that high, right? You attend something like this, you get that little high going on. And ultimately, you can do nothing. Tomorrow, next week, next month, you can wake up in the exact same place, no closer to your goals, still claiming nothing works for you. Until you finally sign up for another free training like this, look for another hit of dopamine, only to repeat the cycle, do nothing all over again. But I trust that you're here to actually shift. So you can take a different option. You can make a decision right now to take some immediate action, follow through for yourself. Use this training as a catalyst to shift everything and start making changes and live the life you know you're capable of. You can decide to take one simple action right now today. Integrate your resistance to taking that action by doing it. Align with your soul's purpose and commit to actually creating something worthwhile for yourself this year and give yourself the tools to do so. And if that's you, there's something we want to share with you, because this mastermind is an opportunity for you to create that shift for yourself in your life in the next 13 weeks, starting today with our support. So if you're choosing to create a life you love, if you want to discover your soul's purpose, and if you're ready to create truly fulfilling and healthy aligned relationships, developing a thriving business or a career as a superconscious entrepreneur, and if it's important for you to do all of this in a way that fulfills your purpose, if you find yourself saying that you're ready to embody your superconscious source or higher self, then this is an opportunity I'm excited to walk with you within. So to make this a very easy step so that you can get started, I'm going to share with you how you can fast track your path forward. We use a 5-part process over 13 weeks with everyone we work with. And the first part is a 13-week masterclass training program. Every week there's new lessons, there's energy frequency, vibration sessions, superconscious sessions, and workshops every single week that allow you to easily identify the obstacles, get to the core emotions, shift those emotions, always know what to focus on, unpack your chakras, and take the aligned action in the world around you all at once so that we're touching every aspect of your life simultaneously, from spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, the traumas, all of it, and the external world, the life, the business, the relationships, and the actions, because you have to touch all points of reality if you want it to bend and move to your will.
We also offer one-on-one support in the masterclass with 7 different QSC or quantum shift exploration, reality creation process, and light language sessions so that you can unpack your current state of consciousness and shift into what you choose, exploring the impact of the challenges in your life to understand how to quickly and easily create a life you love.
And in these sessions, we're not showing up to fix you or heal you. We're showing up to walk you through a journey so that you learn the tool. And then our hope is that you take it and implement that tool even farther. You can experience a profound shift as you work with us. You can come back for more sessions if you'd like. But my focus is that you learn the tool and you can use it on your own, by yourself, with yourself, for yourself, without me, and become a mastered superconscious creator in your own life. And then you can go and create some big things. We also work with everyone in group support and weekly group calls every single week. Our app's pretty easy to use to keep connected, stay accountable, and align with other people who are navigating the same challenges, headed into the same goals. You can get support, stay accountable, have that connection with other people. And you have lifetime access to this if you get started shortly. And I'll tell you more about that as well, because I'm here to create a group of superconscious creators who want to create massive impact in the world, long-term, not short-term.
Cool. So the 4th step to the journey is full mastery of superconscious breathwork as well, breathwork techniques and tools, providing a deep psychological integration of the shifts you choose right at the cellular, nervous system, and DNA levels of your body.
I like to call it a nervous system reset, what you're able to do with breath work. And when we combine that with the superconscious method, it allows full rewiring of the physical systems that create that sometimes really tangible physical resistance when you've got to do something or take the right action, or that anxiety that comes up at a really physical level, reprogramming the cellular memory. At the end of the journey, you're going to unpack something really cool all the way along it. And by the end, you'll have something I call a life declaration statement. And we spoke about unpacking the Earth Star chakra through the chakras. And that's done energetically through the process. But the second piece of that is unpacking it on paper, getting it written down. This allows you to really discover a true and crystal clear knowing of your purpose and a path to create what you're choosing We break it out using sacred geometry and something I call a portal map that allows you to replace lists, organize your life, stay focused on what you need to create a structure, but a structure that is malleable to the flow of your inspiration. And hopefully that flow leads you to create a life that you love in every way, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, in your business, your relationships, your finances, etc. This is not some online course you're just going to take without support and then forget about. It's not another Band-Aid that's designed to just make you feel better. This is a get hands-on, involved, create results journey. 100% of our students that have completed this process have said this became the most memorable and impactful 3 months of their life. Many of them started calling it a soul embodiment journey and told me I needed to rename it, because what we do in this journey is expand the chakras, embody who you are, and then translate it into the external world so that you can pour your energy and provide the gift your soul came to give to this world. And I'm confident that this process will impact your life in the same way that it has others. We have one goal as we work with everyone we work with, and that is to walk with you, not heal or fix you, but walk with you through a process that we do 4 times a year ourselves, through the space of being stuck, from unable to master the negative patterns in your consciousness to where you're embodying your soul's purpose with deep mastery of energy, vibration, and your chakras in an expanded capacity, equipped with the tools you need to create the life that you love, with harmony and joy, finding complete fulfillment in every area of your life, your career, your relationships, etc. So if you're ready to do this, we've set aside some time this week to speak with you one-on-one about how you can embody your superconscious self and work with us in this journey to create a life that you love over the next 13 weeks. I'm going to drop the link to schedule this call in the chat, and you guys can go ahead and do that now. As you get ready to schedule that call, there's a couple of things I want to share with you, and then we'll unpack why positive affirmations often don't work. So I've dropped the link to this call in the chat. Go ahead and click it and begin picking out a time and filling out your application. As you do that, I want to talk to you about if this is right for you, because this journey is not for everyone, and these breakthrough calls are not for everyone. If you're committed to transforming your life, then this is for you. If you're not, this is not for you. If you're not willing to take action and execute new ideas and be coachable, then this is not for you. If you're not able and willing to invest financially in your success, we're not going to be able to support you in the 13-week journey, but we do have some other resources we can share with you, and I'll point you to those in a moment. If you just want to get on the call and chat about your problems, but you don't have a true intention and commitment to make tangible changes in your life, please don't schedule a breakthrough call. You would be wasting your time and wasting our time. I can only support people who are committed to looking deep within themselves and making the changes. So this is for you if you're committed to that. If you want to go deep within yourself, create something you love, create something positive in the world around you with complete integrity, and you have a big vision. If you're excited and you're willing to take the action, be coachable and open-minded. If you're willing to make a significant investment in your success, we've invested tens of thousands of dollars into creating this process, coaches, trainers, research, and all kinds of other things. We've invested 10 plus years of our own lives into developing this process into a proven strategy that allows you to just march through it and get results. And our support is a fraction of that, but it's not free. Why we're doing this, I want to make sure you know why. The point and purpose of the breakthrough calls is to support you in getting the clarity to make the best decision for you. I do not accept everyone who jumps on the calls with me into this process. We're going to jump on the call with you, get a lot of clarity, dive in to your challenges, get super clear on what's holding you back, become laser focused on what you want to create, and build a roadmap with you of the exact steps you need to take to get there. If that's something I think I can help you with, I'll invite you into the journey to work together. If not, I'll let you know that. There's a couple other things that we factor in as well when we choose whether or not to work with someone. But if you're interested in diving into this process, then go ahead and schedule a call. Let's dive in. And if it's right for you, we'll get started. You can jump into this process even if you're a complete beginner or you don't have a lot of time. We're going to start off on that breakthrough call, which is, by the way, the very first session in the reality creation process journey. This is to get really clear on what matters most for you. You'll also discover how long it'll take you to get started, how much time you need to invest in the journey, and what you need to set yourself up with most in order to support yourself in getting successful results through this journey. Personally, we love seeing people transform their lives quickly and easily. It's our highest excitement, and that's why I've dedicated my life to sharing this process with as many people as possible. If we work together, we're going to take you through the same roadmap we've used with hundreds of our clients. We're here to support you, push you out of your comfort zone, and set you up to massively succeed. I'm not here to make you feel better. I'm here to help you get results. You're going to need to be okay with that, because I will push your buttons and make you look at the hard stuff. And then we'll shift it and we'll get into creating. I believe this is going to be the #1 contributor to your relationships, your business, your spiritual growth, your impact, and your income. It has been for everyone who's come through this journey, including myself. And like I said, I do this 4 times a year to myself. So as you move through the course material in the masterclass, I'll be watching through that course material and doing the sessions on myself. As you master it, you're going to learn those sessions and you're going to be able to adapt those techniques and methods in ways that fit you best. Sometimes that might be exactly how they're presented, and other times that might be adapted, but it is all flexible to fit you in exactly where you need to be. This journey is for you. Once again, if you're a coach or an entrepreneur or an energy healer and you genuinely desire to improve your life and the lives of others, embody your superconscious self and create an impact that spreads to millions of lives. If you're ready to learn what actually works and create an powerful shift, let's do it. Let's heal from the trauma, break the limitations, smash through that success healing, and get some results. If you're an entrepreneur at heart, you've always had a dream of creating something, but you're stuck at a dead-end 9-to-5 job working for someone else's dream, I'd love to work with you and get your business growing and thriving. I have a background as a business coach and a consultant. I used to run a digital marketing agency, and it's my passion to help spiritual entrepreneurs grow something that has true meaning and use mastery of energy, frequency, and vibration to do it. So if you desire to understand the inner workings of your consciousness, your mind, your chakras, your emotions, and develop full self-mastery and build something beautiful, let's talk. This journey is for you. One decision can change absolutely everything. And what you need to do is go ahead and click that link, go ahead and book your call, and we'll hop on. Janelle, if you missed the session, I will email you a replay, but the calendar's open for so many days. So you'll want to go ahead and schedule the call. Lisa, there's several different ways that this journey gets started. So the monetary value varies. Go ahead and hop on a call. Your coach will help you figure out the best path forward for you and help you get started in a place that works for you. So you're more ready than ever, guys. This is it. This is the time to do it. Earlier, I said that if you stuck with us to the end, we would dive into positive affirmations, why they don't work long-term, and how to do something instead. I also said I'd share with you how to avoid the biggest mistake that most healers make that leads to the fatal trap that causes a sabotage loop. And I would share with you how to get a free copy of my Superconscious Formula workbook. When you schedule and apply for a breakthrough session with myself or my team at the calendar link I shared, a couple hours from now, I'm going to look at who all submitted an application, and I will email out a copy of my Superconscious Formula workbook to you. Once again, there's the link in the chat if you need it. For everyone who applies for a breakthrough call right now, while we're on this call, if you choose to become part of the 13-week masterclass and work with us, you're going to get some extra special things. You're going to receive free lifetime access to the weekly group coaching that my team and I provide to keep you motivated and moving forward. You're going to be provided with free access to my exclusive bonus series of Superconscious integration sessions. These are typically reserved for my personal inner circle one-on-one coaching students, but you'll get access to those as well. And when you submit your application before the end of this event, like I said, I'll email you a free copy of the Superconscious Formula workbook and an invitation to our app where we host active meditations and other activities. You'll see an invitation to that app exactly on the page following scheduling your appointment. Go ahead and click the green button after you schedule and hop into the app. You're welcome to come to the community activities we have every week in our app. Our app is free to get into. Everyone is invited. We show up every week to give to everyone in the best way we can through group meditation, journeys, etc. And if you're looking for that app somewhere else, it's called etayowa.life, etaywa.life. Or you can poke around, go to my profile, wherever you came to find this call, and you can find a link to the app. Janelle, the link to schedule the call is right there below your comment in the chat. Click that link, fill out the application, pick a time on the calendar, and submit. A whole bunch of you are submitting applications. So if there's not spots available, somebody let me know in the chat and I'll open some more up. So let's dive into why positive affirmations don't work, or when they do, they only work for a short time and then the problem comes back. For example, a positive affirmation like, I am healthy, or I am confident, or I am wealthy is usually met by the resistance of a negative thought or negative emotion that says, no, you're not. Drop a number 1 in the chat if you've ever done that. You go for a positive affirmation, and then there's this resistance that pops up that says, no, you're not. Okay. We want to break through that. And a lot of times what happens is the positive affirmation creates invalidation because it's not true right now. You don't feel healthy or you don't feel confident. And so when you say, I am confident, it invalidates the way you feel right now. And the part of you that's being invalidated pushes back and says, no, this isn't true. Drop a 1 in the chat if this resonates. Because this compounds the original event, which is invalidation of the true value and worthiness of confidence or wealth or health, whatever the affirmation is. Doing this long enough can eventually feel like we get space from those negative thoughts because it can eventually silence that part of yourself and preventing it from having the ability to communicate with you through a negative thought or negative emotion. But what this does is create separation within the self, leaving that part of you no other way to stay connected other than to manifest a negative event from your subconscious, validating the part of yourself that believes it's not worthy or not good enough or something like that. To answer everyone in the chat who says some of the appointments are in the night, we have a team that operates worldwide, all the way from South Africa to the United States. Make sure you have your time zone set correctly at the bottom. At the bottom of the page, it'll show your time zone. Make sure you have your time zone set correctly. There are appointments, and if you're in the United States, in the US time, usually starting early morning all the way through usually late afternoon. So you should be able to find a time. Also, make sure you're checking which day, because there's multiple days available. So if one day has limited time, check some of the later days and see if there's a slot available. I do see a bunch of slots have filled up. So I'm going to pop in here and open up a couple more slots for a couple more days, see if there's anything available. So if you're not finding a slot that works for you, go ahead and reload the page now and see if it gets you a time that's available. If your appointment goes through, you'll know this because in the next couple minutes, you will get a text message or an email with a confirmation. If you do not get a confirmation email, your appointment did not go through. The confirmation email usually takes 2 minutes to go out. But if you don't get that, it probably didn't go through. Try it again. Sometimes when there's a lot of people booking at once, the booking form doubles up and 2 people try to grab the same time slot and it creates a bit of an issue. So instead of using an I am affirmation like I am worthy or I am good enough or I am confident, because this creates that invalidation we were talking about, what I like to do is use an I choose statement. I choose to feel confident. I choose to be worthy. I choose to be and feel wealthy. This creates opportunity, and it also creates empowerment. A choice does not contradict the past experience because it's not saying you are something that you do not feel you are at the moment. It just says you're choosing to go from wherever you're at, however you feel, into something new. And this creates opportunity. The choice empowers you as the chooser. So make choices that speak only to what you choose to create, to keep your angle and degree of perception focused on the potential opportunity you desire to realize into your life. And by the way, the word realize means to see with your real eyes. We want to realize it through our focused perception, and the choice focuses on what we choose. It focuses on the creation. It empowers you as the chooser, and it does not contradict and invalidate which is likely a form of trauma that you experienced that got the distortion programs started in your life, was when something invalidated your worthiness or your deservingness or made you feel not good enough and invalidated the fact that you are good enough. So when we use an affirmation, it compounds the invalidation that probably created the original program that we're trying to affirm and make go away. So let's talk about the biggest mistake healers are making, coaches are making. Maybe you're making this with your clients yourself. You've definitely heard someone say it. Quote, you just need to release the part of you that no longer serves you. Drop a 1 in the chat. Drop the word release in the chat if you guys have heard this or you've practiced this. Releasing the part of you that has no longer serves you. When we do this, seems like it's a good idea, but it's not. It does not work because it's a part of you. Any thought, any emotion, anything at all, it's a part of you. It's part of your energy. That's why it's in your reality. You cannot get rid of it. Doing so, attempting to do so, compounds the original fracture event, the original trauma event, and implies that the part of yourself that has been made to feel, for example, not worthy, if we try to release the part of ourself that feels not worthy, if we try to release the part of ourself that feels not good enough, this compounds the idea that that part of ourself is not worthy. And you're telling whatever part of yourself you're trying to release, you're saying to it, it is not worthy of coming with you into the life you're creating. And at the larger scale, this is implying to yourself that you're not worthy of your own existence. And this leaves that part of yourself no choice but to force its way back into your life by hijacking your subconscious systems of perception and manifesting another negative event. And the negative event validates the need for that part of self to be here. The negative part of self that has the negative belief system, the negative event in your life validates its purpose, brings it back to life. And you keep trying to kill it by releasing it or getting rid of it, making it feel less worthy again and again, and pushing it away farther. This is the most fatal trap of the big loop. And most people think they need to release, get rid of, or fix the part of themselves that's holding them back or that's creating the sabotage pattern. But you don't want to do this. You don't want to communicate to that part of yourself that it's not worthy of the life that you're trying to create. And this is the most fatal part of the big loop. It's a part of you. So you're never going to succeed at getting rid of it. It'll always be able to come back since it is you. Taking this approach communicates to yourself that you're not worthy of living that life. Because where do we live? Remember, we live inside the perceptions of ourselves and the world around us. And this big loop trap goes on and on. So the idea of fixing, the idea of healing implies and has a prerequisite of you being broken. And this is why I don't resonate with the word healing, and I don't call myself a healer. Sometimes I use that word because it's what people understand. But if you adopt the idea that you're broken and need to be healed, that something needs to be fixed, you will remain forever stuck in a world where you are broken because it's the only reality that can fit within your perception of a broken world and a broken self. And this kind of thinking, this releasing, healing, fixing kind of thinking is the most dangerous type of thinking in the self-development and healing community. And it's the same thing that's wrong with traditional therapies and doctors and Western medicine. And I know there's a whole bunch of you in here who understand the problems with these things in our society, right? Because all of those things, someone, be it the client or the healer, takes on the perception that the client is either being healed or the healer is doing the healing. And if either one of those people have that perception, then the energy of brokenness is in the experience, and that makes it impossible to move forward. Both people, both the person who is facilitating the healing journey or the remembrance journey, because I like to call it remembering back to who you were before you were broken, whoever is facilitating that, and the person who is receiving that transmutation within themselves, both need to get on board with the idea that nothing's broken and you're simply remembering a whole and perfect version of yourself. Simply put, Allowing this perception in yourself or with your clients creates more fractures in the systems of consciousness. And this can lead to serious psychosis conditions that leaves more people needlessly suffering than they were even before. And I see this all the time with my clients. I saw this in myself because I went to many healers trying to get fixed, and no one told me this. So I refuse to work with someone until I tell them this first, because you need to know you're a whole and perfect individual. I know that. You know that. Now we can build together into what a life looks like when you embody that. And I can support you and walk with you in that journey. And we can create the energy of wholeness instead of the energy of brokenness together. And this is how we can correctly shift without fixing and without getting rid of. We can go in and we can identify the negative thoughts and the emotional cores and the distorted energy structures, and we can shift that system into a new orientation that is creative and pours your energy into what you choose, supporting new thoughts, new emotions, and integrating a new structure without ever releasing, fixing, or healing. This creates the chosen result in our experience, internally and externally. It creates empowerment and freedom, because the idea of healing implies and creates the idea of brokenness. And this makes the perceptual alignment and the idea of healing equivalent to an elusive carrot on a stick. So instead, I'd like to invite you to use a process to support remembering your soul's original blueprints from before you ever felt broken. Find yourself as a whole and perfect manifesting miracle, and then integrate your perceptions back into wholeness and connection with all things. And I'd like to encourage you to just simply stop fixing, stop healing, stop releasing, and definitely stop butchering yourself and your clients in the name of healing. Instead, develop these practices of remembrance and empower internal and external wholeness. Remember who and what you are. And I invite you guys to all come to the Ateoa.life app for meditations every week. You'll find a link to schedule those right after you schedule your call. I'm going to drop the link to schedule a call again in the chat. If you're looking for the app, head to the bio or one of us somewhere, or look in the confirmation emails. I'll send an email or a text message, probably an email after this event with a link to the app as well. It'll be at the bottom of one of the emails you're going to get following up from this event. It's the Ateoa Life app. Sign in there and everyone's invited to attend. Submit your application for a call before we close up this Zoom, and you'll receive a free copy of my Superconscious workbook in just a few hours. And I will see you there either on that call or on one of the Friday Zooms, and we'll get started in this process working together.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So Candace has a question there asking, what does Ateoa stand for? So the app is actually called Ateoa in Teoa. And what that stands for, or if you translate it somewhat, it's a light language term. It's a term in ancient light language. What it means is a place for all that is love and all that is life.
It's a Pleiadian light language frequency.
Yeah.
And yeah, loosely translated, that's what it means. The space for all that is love and all that is life, which is the equivalent to the container of the all, the source, you, me, our hearts, right? It's a space for love, the quantum field. It is love, whatever we would like to call it.
If anyone is having trouble scheduling a call, you can reach out to us by SMS as well, or email, and then we can do it manually from our side. Usually when the calls are so much coming in, it kind of like everyone's trying to get the same time.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah.
absolutely. So if you're not able to grab it right now, you might refresh the page, try again in 5 minutes after it's cooled down a little bit. But if you're not able to get a spot, like she said, find one of those text messages they sent you reminding you about this, or one of the reminder emails, and reply back and say, I need help booking my call. And one of my folks on my team will reply back to that, or phone you. We'll find a time that works well for you, get your information put in, and get you on the calendar. Let's check the chat and make sure there's not any other questions. Guys, throw questions in the chat if you need anything else.
Amazing.
I see a bunch of you got appointments scheduled. Amazing.
There was a comment there that I just wanted to see. Don't go back. I hear light language sometimes. I would like to understand it more. Told I was Arcturian. Wonderful. Well, this is definitely something you can explore in depth on this journey. We use a lot of light language, and you get light language session and everything.
Yeah.
To understand it deeper.
Light language is so powerful for reprogramming the mind because it bypasses the thinking speech patterns, which the thinking patterns of the mind, the words, that's where all your negative programs are stored. So we can bypass that with light language and go straight into energetic communication. I love that you're Arcturian, Candace. That resonates deeply with myself. I'm both Pleiadian, Arcturian, and Syrian. Those are the strongest energies that come through with me most of the time.
And something that is really interesting is we all refer to this gibberty jab that we talk in as light language. But if you actually directly translate what this kind of communication is, the most resonant terms that have been given to me is telepathic audible frequency communication. So it's telepathy, but it's a form that is audible, and it sounds like gibberish when it's spoken, but it's because it's spoken in frequency that is in a different frequency to the reality here, and that's why it sounds that way. So it's not really different languages, it is more frequency, communication to anything specific that you choose to connect to, because everything communicates in every moment. This is why we can connect to the Pleiadians, the Arcturians. You can connect to your cats and your dogs and plants and trees and the soil, the earth, stars, anything.
Everything communicates, and it's a non-time based communication. Communicating outside of time, which is what telepathy is, takes some practice to get into it and be able to feel the full spectrum of emotional communication. Candace, I love that you've got Pleiadians in your freckles on your leg. That's freaking awesome.
Wow.
I got those tattooed on myself.
I see she's saying she doesn't understand what her daughter is saying. The way to first step into receiving the translated versions or understanding is tune into the emotion of what you feel in the moment she communicates, because it's the language of feeling, the language of energy, frequency, vibration.
Awesome. So drop any other questions in the chat if there's anything else you guys would like to know, and we'll answer. And if not, we'll wrap up. See what else. Lisa, how do you do a call? I'm going to put the link in the chat and reply to your comment. You'll just want to click that link and it will set you up with a call. Crystal, we do have finance options available. Your coach on your breakthrough call can chat with you if you want to get started with us. They can cover what option is best for you and then look into any plans if those are needed. Awesome. Somebody says they're near Mount Shasta. We were just talking about doing an event up at Mount Shasta sometime this year, possibly. So stick around in our community if you want to know about that.
Our last event was in Egypt.
Yes, at the pyramids.
The next one will be probably Mount Shasta and Sedona. Yeah.
Awesome. Some of you are asking about the financial questions. The programs vary. There's costs that go, from high to low, depending on how we can support you. The masterclass is a significant investment. We'll jump on with you. We'll figure out what's the best call. If you don't have the ability to make a significant financial investment, head to the app, come to the weekly community calls, and there's low-cost resources that are available in the app, some of the shorter courses where you can get started with. Patricia, please call you after 4:15. I'll see if I can get someone on it, or if I'm able to, I'll do so myself. 4:15 Central Time. Okay, got that noted. Give me a pen.
-7.
Need a pen that works. 4:15 CST, Patricia. Okay. I'll pass that off to somebody and we'll get in touch. Lots of love to everybody. Thank you all for showing up here, diving in for yourself, exploring your quantum field and your chakras. I hope you've gained some value from this. Dive into meditation, take a look at your Earth Star chakra. If you just submitted an application, you'll get the workbook, put the workbook to use, make the choices, follow the process. The basics for the superconscious method is in that workbook, and you can begin using it with yourself, by yourself, for yourself going forward. Lots of love to everyone, and we'll see you on the flip side.
So I saw Josiah on a TikTok randomly for the first time ever. He was doing this meditation, and I was like, this is a dude I want to connect with. And if you would have asked me then what my obstacles were, I would have been like, I don't have any obstacles. Like, I have a great life. Everything's peachy. I just want to meet some cool people and progress in life. And, you know, I've always been a seeker. And I do light language and energy work. So I just kind of wanted to meet cool people. And I thought the one-on-one RCP sounded amazing. And I wanted to do it.
RCP gave me the tools to effectively navigate introspection and shadow work, and to see what was blocking my full self-expression and the ability for me to enjoy amazing relationships, success, and harmony. Thus began my shift from a life defined by shame and self-destruction to one where I am kind to myself.
After I dove into RCP, and then I'm like, oh, here's a loop. Here's a pattern. Here's an obstacle. Like, I started noticing all these things, a lot of which stemmed from my decade in addiction. I'd done a lot of work the years prior to joining RCP on myself, but there was a lot of subconscious, I don't like the word blockages, but issues that became more apparent through the course.
I couldn't find a way to step into my true power or what that even looked like. So I was jumping from one practice to the next one, thinking every time that this one is the one. My health was at an all-time low, and I was worried if I would live to see 35. I had destructive patterns. I couldn't keep a steady work nor any healthy relationships. I made loads of bad financial choices, ending in losing everything and having to start over and over again. I was angry all the time without knowing why, and I had a deep desire to find healing for myself and everyone else, but just couldn't find a path that truly brought any success.
The first 50 years of my life was marked by conflict and chaos and a struggle with unresolved trauma as a result of the abuses experienced in childhood as an adult. I was deeply insecure. My work was a refuge where I created a professional identity in order to feel worthy. I sabotaged greater success by my fear of being seen.
Like many of you, I grew up being very sensitive to energy, felt emotions very deeply, my own emotions, emotions of others, and I was very uncomfortable with that. I was my own worst enemy. As I progressed in age, those energies and emotions and intuition and all those things became a lot, and I didn't want to feel them. So I got really good at blocking off my emotions and blocking off people and isolating. And then when it got too much, when life got kind of lifey, as I got into, teenage age, I turned to substances.
Self-doubt defined me for years. While I was successful professionally, my personal life was chaotic. I was hiding behind a facade. The RCP and QSC methods have been life-changing for me. In fact, I've done the 13-week masterclass about 4 times. And that was the breakthrough that allowed me to start the process of really deep transformation.
From a very young age, was a peacemaker. Shared my love with everybody. I think I've taken just about every Ascension course, read every book, and it was very confusing until I started in the 13-week course. Prior to RCP and QSC, I was not sure of my true nature or purpose. I knew I was supposed to have it, but I didn't know what it was. I lacked confidence in myself. I looked more to the outside for answers than internally. And once I got better at meditation and I looked internally and I started getting messages and answers to what I was looking for, I had a problem trusting it and, thought that must be my imagination.
I reached for anything that could help me escape myself, pretty much. Instead of going within, I looked outside of myself. And for the next decade, until my late 20s, alcoholism, heroin addiction, meth, pills, anything I could get my hands on that would help me escape myself and the energy and emotion I was feeling within. Since I do work in addiction, help a lot of people with addiction, I think it's powerful to share my experience.
I was the worst version of myself, stuck in a loop. Even though some of the work that I've done was super successful, I wasn't able to bring myself back into wholeness to the point where I just wanted to party and get high all the time. I also became a grumpy old man stuck in a 33-year-old's body, complaining constantly and mostly seeing the negative of things.
The RCP process helped me to feel more empowered, to do anything I desire to better my life and the world. And it gave me the tools, the processes to do it as well. Other things that I had read, seminars I had been, spiritual journey up Mount Shasta, etc. None of them gave me those tools. And those were very important and life-changing. QSE gave me confirmation of what I believed my soul's purpose was, and expanded on my soul's true nature from what I had previously thought. So it gave me clarity there.
Through RCP and developing a new relationship with myself, an area of self-knowing that I was previously terrified to look at because of the stigma around mental health started to become visible to me.
I always felt that there was more. There was so much more. And I just didn't understand how and where do you get the more. I think that, in a sense, started leading me to becoming depressed and pessimistic in my point of view in life. Every now and again, I would try and do something to try and help me to change that, to bring me back into joy, and having mixed results with it. Ended up in a place so afraid, unable to make decisions, where I literally started shrinking my world with how I thought the world was working.
I started to discover the state of being I had experienced for almost 50 years. And that I was deeply ashamed of, had scientific names like borderline personality disorder, histrionic disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, chronic post-traumatic stress disorder or syndrome, dissociation, ADHD, and the list goes on and on. While the study of the pathology of so-called mental disorders is not a part of the reality creation process, when you make a choice to live a life you love and to be fully self-expressed, you provide yourself with a path forward that is aligned with your soul's true nature and purpose. And for me, that has become about closely looking at self-sabotage patterns, how these are created, and methods that are effective for dealing with them at a level that I needed to deal with them.
At first, I didn't believe Josiah when he said the RCP would radically change my life. I've tried it all, how could this have been any different? But I very quickly started to see just how wrong I was. With every meditation and integration, for the first time in my life, I began to feel how I'm being remembered, each piece coming back to myself. My entire reality began to shift so drastically. It was a wild roller coaster, but what a ride.
Some of my biggest obstacles before doing QSE and RCP was not understanding why things happened. I can honestly say that I could easily go into the victim mode, understanding why this. But with QSE, I started finding out why things happen, and then realizing that nothing is against you. With QSE, you can find out why it happened. All the big things that happened in my life, I now know why it's happened, and realize that I was being guided to get to where I am today.
It has been a process, but I am much more comfortable today than I was before starting this program. And it feels awesome being who I truly am and not really caring what others think.
I'm on a path now to prove that you can be 50 and over and discover and transcend these decade-long embedded patterns. I've learned to say no, to embrace conflict when necessary, and to be kinder to myself. And the shame that I used to feel no longer has a hold on me, and I'm steadily creating a new pattern of being based on the choice to love myself. And the progress I've made is unrecognizable compared to who I was 2 years ago.
I suffered from plantar fasciitis, and that is where I met Lee. I had the session with Lee, and I could feel how the energy literally came into my body and it healed my feet. And the next day I was on a treadmill. I was running again the first time in a year and a half. And that's when I realized how powerful energy healing is and what you can do with it.
This is where I just had to say, this community is so welcoming, so kind and supportive and reassuring with even our most private issues. We feel completely free to share whatever is bothering us or getting in our way. We receive such love and support from each other. Aela and Aarun and their team have real answers to real questions, concerns, and problems that come up, as well as strategies to address these issues. This whole community benefits from the discussions we have. Makes me a little emotional.
My mom would be a little bit verbally abusive and things like that. And I just became very shy and introverted, just didn't have any self-esteem or anything like that. Throughout my whole life, I worked always putting any kind of interest that I've had in the back burners. And I lived like that in survival mode for a pretty long time. I read this book, it's called Bringers of the Dawn by Barbara Marciniak. I was like, these are like my people. This is my home planet. It's like, I can identify with these people.
I am that guy that walks around with tarot cards, crystals, Palo Santo, talk to dragons, trees, extraterrestrial beings, and the elements. Life is a game, and I know now how to play it. And most of all, I am just another you, and you are just another me, and I am an expression of consciousness that loves this life to bits.
I've always wanted to meet a Pleiadian. Aela and I always laugh about that. But I always wanted to meet a real one, not one in a book, you know? And then when Aarun came on, I said, oh my goodness, I just wanted to be part of this. This is my family. We're like-minded. And I just was so excited.
I discovered the amazingness of RCP, that you don't try to kill stuff off or you hide it from yourself. You rewrite everything back into love. You change your angle of perception. I started to really live a life that I love. If I didn't go through that, I would have still been on this busy, craziness and never had time to find myself and never find my way into healing.
A big obstacle that I was aware of is I felt very unworthy. Even all the work I had done on myself, I still had aspects of unworthiness and insecurity to my core. And even though I was able to connect with myself, I still had issues with really going deep within and feeling emotions from just programming myself from not wanting to feel like those intuitive energies and stuff like that. I would have described myself as like a loving, upbeat, caring, positive, energetic, spiritual galactic being. All the positive aspects and everything, once I started integrating and shifting, got elevated once I joined RCP, if that makes any sense.
My whole life, I've never really known what my purpose is. I wrote a few little things here and there, never published them or anything, because I never thought that I could survive doing that. Again, I just put that on the back burners. I was like clueless as to what I'm supposed to do. I know I have a mission to do something here. What is it? You know, yeah, I have a little interest in this and that, but what's my real purpose?
With the RCP, being able to change in the long term, not just short term, where you're trying to basically cut off part of you that, or release a part of you that you don't want anymore, then bringing it back, and it feels like self-sabotage, and then you're regressing, and then you're feeling depressed about the fact that it didn't work even though you put in such a big effort. That was a big thing for me before RCP, feeling like you're stuck. You know you want more, you see you can get more, but feeling stuck. I was stuck, didn't know what to do with myself. I would say a lot less direction. QSE just gave me so much more direction and teaching me so much more and opening up my whole perspective, just making me aware of what I'm actually thinking and what I'm actually manifesting subconsciously.
I would now describe myself as someone who is deeply committed to self-mastery, discovering what it is to live a life I love in a way that is fully self-expressed and aligned with my soul's true nature and purpose.
My true identity is, I'm going to say, I'm a writer, I'm an artist. That's what I am. I could never say that before. It's not just being an artist of what you do. I think for me, an artist is somebody on an aesthetic wavelength. My progress has been amazing since I've been on the course. I have Aarun and Aela to thank for that. They've helped me so much every step of the way.
Now I'm aware of what I'm thinking, and that helps me to start consciously manifesting and not just being a pawn in somebody else or just in the game of life, basically, not seeing myself as a victim anymore and being able to appreciate things. Also integrating the parts of me that held me stuck before or I felt needed healing, realizing the wholeness of us and not that there's anything wrong with us, remembering and realizing we're whole, that love that can actually come from that.
What I love about all the stuff that I've learned from RCP and QSE is that we are all here for a purpose, and my purpose is to make healing accessible to the world.
I learned a lot of things. I mean, I thought I read it all, knew it all. I'm not going to let somebody put their perceptions of what I should do, what I should feel, what I should be. I'm not going to accept those. Well, that's major because I used to get influenced by people's opinions of me and everything. And I'm feeling that I'm more my authentic self more than I've ever been. Being part of a safe group where you can communicate, be yourself, your authentic self, where you can share things and share perspectives and everybody accepts you for who you are and nobody judges you. I mean, that's beautiful. I feel like my whole life has changed.
I'm more aware, I'm consciously creating and getting better and better at it. And then how we can learn and grow. And if we find our tribe, that's when we really start shining and our vibration lifts. And I think it just is good for absolutely everybody. That's me.
I didn't realize the lack of awareness and perception that I actually had coming in. So when I did RCP and I was able to shift my awareness and just like blow up on my perception, making things so much more apparent, that was huge. That was a big game changer for me. And like, it was a lot of little things and a lot of little subconscious programs that I wasn't aware of. So the awareness was huge and helping me see the power of making conscious choices.
Thank you so much for being here. It's so cool that you're here, invested in learning about the systems of your consciousness and how we can shift into alignment with our soul's true nature and purpose to create a life that we truly love. You found yourself asking the question, what is the reality creation process? And what is the quantum shift experience? I'd like to share a little bit with you about what these tools are and how they helped transform my life into a place where I can live my soul's true nature and purpose and connect with others who are also doing the same. The reality creation process started as an exploration within consciousness to come to a place of being able to understand by what processes and systems do we navigate and experience our reality. How is it that we're generating each and every moment of our reality experience? So if you found yourself asking, how does this world work? And how can I find a way to align my life and overcome the traumas and the limitations and the sabotage patterns and the things that keep me continually held back from living that truly fulfilling, soul purpose-filled life? Then I'd invite you to take an exploration into the reality creation process. But don't think of it as a course, because it's your reality creation process. The reality creation process course is a compilation of the systems of consciousness as they have been discovered from the Pleiadian perspective. But it's your reality creation process. What we share here, you may find similarities inside your own internal experience of consciousness, inside your own mind, inside your own heart, inside the patterns that came from traumas of the past or limiting beliefs that were given to you by the society, by our parents, by the people around us in our developing life, that shaped our belief systems into the narrow confines of a reality defined by fear and reaction instead of love and creation. The reality creation process course serves as a tool and a space for you to explore the inner geometry and the inner structures of your consciousness and learn to shift those structures of your consciousness back into alignment with your soul blueprint structures. And to do this as easily as turning a dial on a radio to change the station or to change the channel on the TV, to bring yourself into the channel of your soul's true nature and purpose, to bring your channel of your experience of life into alignment with your source self. As I like to call it in the course, the superconscious source architect of your being, which is that part of your consciousness which has contact with the infinite quantum possibilities and when enabled and instructed, can assist you in quantum shifting, quantum jumping, and realigning all inner systems of yourself with a life that you love. Now, if the words that I'm using don't make a whole lot of sense or you've never heard them before, I'd like to share a little bit about why. I'm using words that don't have commonly attached meanings in the world around us so that we can skip over all of the programming and predisposed ideas that we've gained throughout our life from the political standpoints that the people around us have taken, from the religious standpoints that the people around us have taken, from the ideas portrayed in books and social media, and all of the ways that we learn and gain our vision of the world, to allow us to get straight to the core of what is it inside you and inside me that's generating our experience. We all know about manifestation. We all know about the law of attraction. We all know about the way that energy creates our experience. And we all know or have probably heard something along the lines of, where awareness goes, energy flows. And where energy flows, that's what grows in our life, both inside and outside. So to skip all of the labels, all of the names, and get straight to the very core processes that run within our consciousness, get in touch with those and discover a way to align and redefine those processes in a way which fully fulfills your soul's true nature and purpose. Now, I don't know what your soul's true nature and purpose is. I don't know what you came here to the planet to create, but it would be an honor to walk with you as you embark on a journey to understand and get to know every system of yourself and the world in which we live. I hope to see you in the Reality Creation Process course as you discover what it is that you came to create through your reality creation process.
I'm from Washington State. I've lived here my whole life in Eastern Washington. I originally did RCP at a summit last August in Baja California with Josiah. That in itself, before doing the RCP masterclass or anything else, just that RCP done at the summit completely changed my life. And that was before all this. That to me was the biggest thing. Josiah and I have stayed really good friends. He talked to me about the RCP masterclass. We just finished that a couple of weeks ago, and that blew my mind. If I thought things had started rolling after I did RCP last August, by the time we got into that masterclass, I was just like, holy cow, expansion. It was just this massive growth spurt. Things that I thought were fully healed came up. I think that that really has been the biggest thing for me. And it is all just coming in. What I know about me is that I have grown so much that my life is just, it's just every manifestation, every intention I've had is just like pouring in lightning speed right now. And I know that RCP really affected. I mean, it was just mind blowing to me. And then meeting Lee to do the quantum work, this is just super exciting to me because it's fulfilling my purpose. I love you guys. I'm so excited to be here. This is like a dream for me. Like I said, it's a manifestation that I set. And I can give a lot of credit to the fact that I dove deeply into that and completely surrendered. And here I am.
My name is Gerrit. I'm from Cape Town in South Africa. I've been on the RCP journey since October last year, and it has been life-changing for me as well. I actually really didn't enjoy my life to actually living my best life every day at the moment. So I've literally changed my life from being unhappy to every day I say, well, this is my best day ever in my life yet so far. So I'm just embracing it. I've recently quit my day job and I now do distance healing full time. So since I started the RCP courses, I've literally changed my life 180 degrees and I'm now going full steam ahead. And I've been with the QSE. So I've seen all the cool stuff that come out of that. And I've learned so much personally out of these sessions that she gives people.
My face is starting to hurt because I can't stop smiling. It's such a high vibration in this group. I'm so excited to be here. I'm Ashley. I am from Oregon. I called this extra level reality into my experience. I've been going through the RCP program. I am on week 11, so I'm almost through, and it has been such a life-altering experience. I'm just so honored and thankful to be on this journey. It is so in alignment with everything in my own soul blueprint from all of my universal travels and everything that I've already learned and studied in this lifetime. I've done the Akashic Record Blueprint realignment program. I've done like 3 hypnosis programs. I've been doing quantum healing hypnosis for like 2 years now. The RCP program like transforms my own personal evolution, my own growth, what I'm here to create, and how it ties in with everything that I've already been working on founding for myself. So to be a part of a larger group community and to be able to make the biggest impact of all time, like such an honor. Like I don't even have words to describe what I'm feeling right now about this journey and like how thankful I am to be here.
Hello, I'm Allison. I am super grateful and excited to be here. I'm from New Hampshire, even though I'm on the California coast right now. So I ran across Lee like a year ago, even though we didn't connect. And then Josiah popped up in my reality earlier this year. And like we instantly connected. And I think I'm on week 13. I'm at the end of our one-on-one coaching journey. I've done a session with Lee. And just like everybody else said, like, wow, the expansion and the remembrance and just like integrating my multidimensional, my galactic, my soul self, like everything they teach and just help us remember getting back to that wholeness. Like my heart goes out to you beautiful souls. And I'm just super excited to connect deeper with everybody on here. My heart is overwhelmed. I'm grateful to be here.
I'm Gail. Used to be from Cape Town, moved to Wilderness, and I'm living off the grid in the mountains. I studied in kinesiology for the last 4 years and Reiki, and there was something missing. Working on people, it's working on energy, but I wanted to work with connecting with people's higher selves and my higher self. I've just done the week's session of the RCP, and that has been absolutely mind-blowing. What I experienced there is I could feel the energy. I dropped out and I stepped out as this new person, this lighter, completely new soul. And yeah, just absolutely amazing. So really excited to be here with you.
Greetings all. Pleasure to be here. I was born and raised Colorado. And I was a member of the U.S. ski team, competed all over the world, which was such a gift, and then moved into the film and television industry. I did that for 28 years. Almost 4 years ago, I had a major shift, awakening, dark night and awakening. And I started meditating daily, doing all the things to really tap into myself too. And so now I have a practice of live, moving, and having my way of beingness with the power of the presence, all that is, always. Always and always. We were asking for next level stuff and we called this to ourselves. And this was just beautiful to receive Lee and Josiah. And it's been the biggest gift. And, you know, just like next level for expansion for myself, and then to see that reflected in others. And I'm so excited and grateful to be a part of this process and looking forward to connecting with all you always, and excited to see you all in person too.
Hi guys, nice to see you. I'm honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I was born in Scotland. I live in Colorado in the United States with a lot of mountains. And really, for me, when I came across Josiah and Lee, there was just so much truth in it for me. More truth in one place than I'd ever seen in one place before, you know? And really agendaless. I think that was my favorite thing is I like to say like creation has no agenda. And so that's how this all came together for me.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mariah. I live in Aotearoa, New Zealand. I have been doing the RCP journey and have grown so much since doing it. It's made a phenomenal difference in my life. And I've also gotten to know an amazing bunch of people. You know, it's now a pleasure and a privilege to be here.
QSE just allows me to going in and getting my key, just allows me to hit that 0 point like all the time, every time, you know, quickly, easily. I got to tap into my skills of vision and seeing the details and also the grander perspective of things. I learned a lot about myself and had a fun place to go back to. RCP, it's just like that chakra work is priceless. Am I right? Like, you knew what chakras were, you knew there was energy here, you knew like the 7 of them. I just feel like I remember who I am and why I'm here. And so it really shifts your perspective in life. So thanks for having me. Namaste.
That's another battle. And yeah, like I said, that level of worthiness. And, what's really interesting is that this year, after doing the reality creation process, ever since I can remember, I had wanted the tools to be able to transcend this programming, that I carried through from childhood. And that was some way to reprogram myself, to reprogram my mindset, to reprogram at a very deep level, for want of a better word, with the reality creation process. Of course, what I've been able to discover is that in a new paradigm, if I'm calling the way that I always manifested an old paradigm, which I am, if I'm calling what I would consider manifestation from a state of being, a new paradigm, that new paradigm would be based on self-love. And, if we're looking at full self-expression, and that's one of the areas when, I'm talking about being forward-facing or north-facing in terms of where I want to be, it would be in terms of being able to guide other people towards that full self-expression.
A big part of that, as you mentioned, my book, that was something that I began manifesting about a year ago. And the things that have gone on in this last year have just exponentially raised that up into fruition. So I'm super grateful. What I found there was family. I found a massive amount of healing. And then with the reality creation process, that was so huge for me. I am not exaggerating in any way when I say that summit changed my life. 100% changed my life.
I'm just so grateful to have found the reality creation process this year, so that I have been able to really step into making choices for myself that is just required really a shift in perspective, a shift in perception.
It's hard to even put into words how powerful it was for me. I learned so much. I had no idea the connections that I would make, the things I would learn, the healing I was going to have. This is super important. I think a lot of what that had to do with was healing. I think without that healing, it may have been different. And with the reality creation process, it was learning to integrate every piece of myself into a place where those were things I could use. Those were things that were important for me to get to where I was at.
It's a good time to talk about choices, about the ability to choose. Can we talk about the reality creation process? Look, honestly, it's the most incredible course. So with the reality creation process, I'm going to put this in the best words I can because I understand what it does. But what I understand is that you have this programming that may have been running since childhood, and it's in a loop. Whatever that programming is, whether it's self-worth, whether it's can't speak, don't think anybody's going to listen to me, whatever that is, you have that programming. When you go and you do the reality creation process, what you're doing is you are reprogramming yourself and your mind, your consciousness, and you're using the super consciousness to do that.
The reality creation process, it was like a rocket blasting off.